Back with you now at 9:13. You know, in November, the voters spoke. Criminal justice reform passed with state questions 780 and 781. What you're looking at here, we had some video there. Supporters holding last-minute rallies last week saying the new reforms could save the state up to $2 billion. There's that video there. Joining us now, Chris Steele, the author of the original state question that already passed back in November. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning.
Good morning. Great to have you as always. And I know you were at some of the rallies at the state capitol. What were some of the messages that you were trying to send last week?
Well, the reality is in Oklahoma, we incarcerate too many nonviolent offenders. And so we are encouraging the legislature to act on the reforms that were developed by the governor's task force in order to reduce our prison population, to free up resources that can be reinvested in treatment and mental health, and ultimately bed space for people who pose a legitimate danger or risk to society.
You're also a former lawmaker, former Speaker of the Oklahoma House. Walk us through how this is still kind of up in the air. I heard from a couple people who said, we voted on this, we passed criminal justice reform. How is it still up in the air?
Well, there's a couple of issues that are at play. First and foremost, the state questions that were passed in November are set to go into effect in July the 1st.
Okay.
And we are dedicated to protecting those reforms to give them a chance to work. But then in addition to that, that's one step in the list of reforms that need to happen to bring Oklahoma's laws in line with that of other states. So there's additional corrections reform issues that need to be taken up this legislative session. The Governor Fallin, has developed a plan and working in conjunction with the Pew Foundation and other national researchers and policy experts to bring Oklahoma's policies in line so that we can make the best use of our state's resources and ultimately address root issues that may be driving antisocial behavior for nonviolent offenders.
You're talking addiction instead of just drug use. You're talking more mental health issues, correct?
That's right. Primarily, we're talking about issues of addiction and mental illness.
Okay.
And so the reality is we have some of the highest, if not the highest, incarceration rates of any state in the nation. And if we spend all of our money simply warehousing nonviolent offenders, there's not enough resources to invest in adequate levels of treatment or mental illness to truly help those individuals who need help.
And one of the main arguments about this criminal justice reform was to stop prison overcrowding. Our prisons, quite frankly, are bursting at the seams. So that was one of the arguments that you presented. And also, it would save the state some money, correct?
It would. So the reality is this: Oklahoma prisons are at about 110% capacity right now. And there's an additional 1,800 individuals waiting placement in county jails because there's just not enough space to put those individuals in state prison. The Department of Corrections announced recently that it has over 62,000 Oklahomans in their care in some form or fashion, and it's costing our state over $500 million a year to incarcerate these individuals. If we do nothing and incarceration rates continue to increase, the state of Oklahoma is going to have to build additional prisons, and it's projected that it would cost our state over $2 billion in the next 10 years to deal with the current incarceration practices. And it would be one thing if incarcerating nonviolent offenders actually led to a decrease in crime or an increase in public safety, but that's just not the case. In fact, oftentimes when we incarcerate a nonviolent offender and fail to provide treatment or intervention or effective programming, the incarceration itself tends to drive that individual deeper into the criminal justice system. And so it's time that Oklahoma take a hard look at what policies are effective and what we can do to ultimately make the best use of our state's resources and help individuals reach their full potential.
Oklahoma, the #1 per capita for women incarcerated. On the other hand, though, opponents say rehab programs, like you're talking about, getting people help, not just throwing them away for life and slapping them with a felony. They say this could be costly, especially at a time when the state is trying to fund critical services. I mean, we're $900 million in the hole right now. The state trying to fund critical services during a budget crisis like education. Is now the time to try to build these rehab services when we really don't have the money to do so?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, because of the budget picture in Oklahoma, it's imperative that we make the best use of our state's resources. And the reality is it costs $19,000 a year to incarcerate an individual in Oklahoma, as opposed to about $6,000 a year to provide treatment and proper supervision in the community. It's not only a win from a budgetary standpoint, it's also a win from behavior modification. The research is clear that when it comes to issues of addiction and mental illness, treatment coupled with appropriate supervision is a much better way to modify behavior than simply warehousing an individual. Because every dollar counts in our state budget is precisely why these reforms are needed now.
So what happens? What happens? I mean, the clock is ticking. They have, what, 2 weeks?
2 weeks
So
left.
what happens if this doesn't get figured out?
If the legislature fails to act on these reforms in the next 2 weeks, the reality is the state of Oklahoma will have to spend over $1 billion in building new state prisons. We're under one federal lawsuit right now for prison overcrowding. We're at 110% capacity. Our prison population is projected to increase by another 8,000 individuals in the next 10 years or so. So the state of Oklahoma will have to invest more money in the Department of Corrections, and that in essence takes away funding from education, from healthcare, from services for kiddos in at-risk situations. And so it's very, very important that these reforms get enacted this session.
We could also be looking ahead to a special session due to the budget crisis. Want to get your opinions on that too as a former Speaker of the House. We'll have you stick around for one more segment.